Hollywood loves a comeback, but not every star manages to rise after a fall. Some celebrities vanish from the spotlight due to scandal, tragedy, or simply being forgotten. Yet, a rare few rise again, stronger than ever. These stars remind us that failure isn't final and that resilience can write a new chapter. In this video, we'll count down the top 10 most inspiring celebrity comebacks in Hollywood. Stories that prove it's never too late to shine again. Now, let's jump into number 10, Robert Downey Jr. There was a time when Robert Downey Jr. was more likely to be in the news for his mugshots than his movies. Once praised as a rising star in the late 80s and early 90s, his talent was undeniable. But his battles with drug addiction and multiple arrests derailed his career. Studios considered him uninsurable. He was in and out of jail, and many thought his Hollywood days were over. But RDJ wasn't done. After a period of rehab, therapy, and slow rebuilding through smaller roles, he landed one of the biggest risks of his life, playing Tony Stark in Marvel's Iron Man in 2008. Marvel was hesitant to cast him, but director Jon Favreau believed in his redemption. That one role didn't just revive his career, it transformed him into one of the most bankable actors in the world and helped launch the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Today, Robert Downey Jr. is one of the highest paid actors in the industry and widely admired not only for his performances, but for his personal journey. His comeback is a true Hollywood legend, proving that hitting rock bottom doesn't mean you can't reach the stars again. Now, let's jump into number 9, Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore was a household name before she hit double digits charming audiences as a child star in E.T. the Extraterrestrial. But behind the scenes, her childhood was chaotic. Coming from a famous acting dynasty, she was thrust into the limelight way too early. By the age of 13, she had already been to rehab for drug and alcohol addiction. Most people saw her as another child star gone wrong, but Drew didn't. Let her early troubles define her. In her late teens and early 20s, she slowly returned to acting, taking roles in indie films and rebuilding her career on her own terms. She rebranded herself as a quirky, charming lead in romantic comedies, starring in hits like The Wedding Singer, Never Been Kissed, and 50 First Dates. Beyond acting, she founded her own production company, Flower Films, and produced several of her own box office successes. Today, she's not only a respected actress and producer, but also a talk show host, entrepreneur, and mother. Someone who took control of her narrative and came back with grace, strength, and authenticity. Drew Barrymore didn't just come back, she reinvented herself completely. Now, let's jump into number 8, Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser was once one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood, known for blockbusters like The Mummy, George, Of the Jungle, and Encino Man. His charisma, physical comedy, and emotional range made him a fan favorite in the late 90s and early 2000s. But then, seemingly overnight, he disappeared from the spotlight. What most people didn't know was that Brendan was quietly dealing with a host of personal struggles. He suffered serious physical injuries from years of performing stunts, requiring multiple surgeries on his back, knees, and vocal cords. He also endured the emotional toll of a difficult divorce and the heartbreaking death of his mother. On top of it all, Fraser revealed he had been sexually assaulted by a powerful Hollywood executive, a traumatic experience that left him deeply shaken and contributed to his withdrawal from the industry. But Brendan never stopped acting entirely. He just took time to heal. Slowly but surely, he began to reappear in smaller TV and film roles, winning audiences over again with his sincerity and humility. Then came The Whale in 2022, a dramatic role that showcased his raw talent and earned him an Academy Award. For Best Actor, Fraser's comeback wasn't flashy, it was human. A story of endurance, healing, and redemption that proved the world still loves him, and even more importantly, he still loves what he does. Now, let's jump into number 7, Winona Ryder. In the 90s, Winona Ryder was the queen of cool. With iconic performances in films like Heathers, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, and Girl, Interrupted, she defined a generation. Her edgy charm, raw emotion, and unique screen presence made her a symbol of both indie and mainstream success. But in 2001, everything changed. Winona was arrested for shoplifting at a Beverly Hills department store, a scandal that dominated headlines. The fallout was swift. She became the butt of late-night jokes and was effectively blacklisted in Hollywood. For years, Winona struggled. to find substantial roles, and many assumed her career was over. What the public didn't fully understand at the time was that Winona had been battling anxiety, depression, and burnout. The pressure of fame had taken a toll. She quietly stepped away from the limelight to focus on her mental health, returning only occasionally for low-profile roles. Then came Stranger Things. Cast as Joyce Byers in the Netflix phenomenon, Winona proved that her talent had never left, and neither had the love from her fans. The show's massive success reintroduced her to a new generation and reminded the world why they fell in love with her in the first place. Winona's comeback wasn't about reinventing herself. It was about reclaiming her place. A graceful return that showed healing, time, and authenticity can lead to second chances in Hollywood. Now, let's jump into number 6, Mickey Rourke. In the 1980s, Mickey Rourke was considered one of the most talented actors of his generation. With smoldering performances in films like 912 Weeks and Angel Heart, he was poised to become a Hollywood legend. But Rourke turned his back on acting at the height of his fame to pursue a professional boxing career, a decision that cost him dearly. Years in the ring damaged his face and body, leading to multiple reconstructive surgeries. When he returned to Hollywood, he looked so different that he struggled to land roles, and his once glowing star dimmed. For years, Mickey floated in and out of small, often forgettable parts. But in 2008, he stunned the industry with The Wrestler. His heartbreaking portrayal of a washed-up pro wrestler mirrored his own life and pain. Raw, real, and unforgettable. Directed by Darren Aronofsky, the film earned him critical acclaim, a Golden Globe win, and an Academy Award nomination. Rourke's comeback wasn't just about acting. It was about bearing his soul. He reminded Hollywood and fans that true talent doesn't fade, it just sometimes needs a second chance to shine. Now, let's jump into number 5, Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson first entered the public eye as a contestant on American Idol, where she placed only 7th, a surprise elimination that shocked viewers. But that loss turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Just a few years later, Hudson made her acting debut in the 2006 film Dreamgirls, delivering a powerhouse performance that earned her an Oscar, a Golden Globe, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. However, Jennifer's journey was not without devastating setbacks. In 2008, tragedy struck when her mother, brother, and nephew were murdered in a horrific act of violence. Hudson withdrew from the public eye to grieve and heal. Many wondered if she would return to music or acting at all, but Jennifer came back, not just as a singer and actress, but as a symbol of resilience. She released new music, took on powerful acting roles, and eventually earned the rare honor of achieving EGOT status, winning an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Her grace in the face of personal tragedy and her incredible range of talent make her one of the most inspiring comeback stories in modern entertainment. Now, let's jump into number 4, Matthew McConaughey. For a while, Matthew McConaughey was stuck in a loop, typecast as the charming guy in rom-coms like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and Failure to Launch. While those movies were commercially successful, critics and audiences alike began to write him off as a one-note performer. He was seen more as a shirtless cliché than a serious actor. But then came what fans now call the McConaissance. McConaughey took a bold turn, rejecting formulaic roles and pursuing character-driven dramas. His transformation began with indie films like Mud and Killer Joe, but it was Dallas Buyers Club that redefined his career. He lost over 40 pounds for the role, fully immersing himself in the character of Ron Woodruff, a man battling AIDS in the 1980s. The performance won him an Academy Award for Best Actor. He followed it with roles in True Detective and Interstellar, showing the world a depth and range few expected. McConaughey didn't just change how Hollywood saw him, he changed how the world did. He became a serious artist, a family man, a professor, and even an author. His comeback was deliberate, driven, and full of wisdom, just like the man himself. Now, let's jump into number 3, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves has always had a special place in Hollywood, from the early days of Bill and Ted to action hits like Speed and The Matrix. But after the Matrix trilogy ended, his star began to fade. He took on smaller films, and while fans still loved him, he was no longer a box office draw. What made things worse were the deep personal losses he endured. The stillbirth of his daughter, followed by the death of his longtime partner Jennifer, Syme. These tragedies led him to become deeply private, even reclusive. He never spoke much about his pain. Instead, he kept working quietly and respectfully. Then, in 2014, Keanu made one of the greatest comeback moves ever, John Wick. The action-packed, stylish revenge thriller was a surprise hit and reignited Reeves' career. The character became iconic, and the franchise has only grown more successful with each installment. Fans fell in love with his humble personality, generosity, and undeniable dedication to his craft. Keanu's comeback isn't just about career revival, it's about being a good human being in an industry that often forgets kindness. Now, let's jump into number 2, Jaime Lee Curtis. Jaime Lee Curtis has been a Hollywood staple since her debut in Halloween in 1978. Dubbed the original Scream Queen, she built a successful career in horror and comedies through the 80s and 90s. But as she got older, like many women in Hollywood, the roles started drying up. She shifted focus to other ventures, writing children's books, doing advocacy work, and even disappearing from major screens for long periods. Then, something incredible happened. In her 60s, Jaime Lee Curtis staged a triumphant return. First, revisiting her iconic Halloween role to critical and box office success. But it was her role in Everything Everywhere All at Once that truly stunned the industry. As the eccentric IRS auditor Deirdre, she proved she could do it all: comedy, drama, absurdity, and earned her first Academy Award. Curtis's comeback wasn't flashy, it was honest. She showed that aging doesn't mean fading away, and that embracing every chapter of your life can lead to your most powerful moments. Her journey proves that longevity in Hollywood doesn't come from staying young. It comes from staying real. Now, let's jump into number 1, Kesha. Kesha exploded onto the music scene in 2009 with her debut single TikTok, instantly becoming a pop culture phenomenon. Her wild, glittery party girl image made her a hit with younger audiences, but few knew the darker reality behind the glitter. Behind the scenes, Kesha was allegedly being emotionally, physically, and sexually abused by her longtime producer Dr. Luke, a legal battle that would change the course of her life and career. In 2014, Kesha filed a lawsuit against Dr. Luke, hoping to break free from her contract and regain control of her music and identity. The legal fight dragged on for years, with the pop star virtually vanishing from the charts. She couldn't release new music freely and became the subject of industry gossip. Many feared her career was over, and to some, she was just another pop act who burned out too soon. But Kesha refused to give up. In 2017, she made an emotional return with her album Rainbow. Unlike her earlier party anthems, Rainbow was raw, heartfelt, and powerful, a musical declaration of healing and resilience. The lead single Praying became an anthem for survivors and showcased her true vocal range and emotional depth. The album was nominated for a Grammy, and critics praised it as a stunning artistic reinvention. Kesha's comeback wasn't just about chart success, it was about reclaiming her voice, identity, and power. She transformed personal pain into artistic triumph, inspiring millions in the process. Her journey is a bold reminder that even in an industry that tries to silence you, truth and talent can still rise to the top. And there you have it. The top 10 most inspiring celebrity comebacks in Hollywood. These stars faced incredible challenges, from addiction and scandal to personal tragedy and career setbacks. Yet each one proved that with resilience, determination, and a little bit of luck, it's possible to rise from the ashes and reclaim your place in the spotlight. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to All Time Film for more amazing Hollywood stories. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Comment below, which comeback story inspired you the most? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.